This is my second video in one day. Can you believe it? I must really be bored, you say. This is, and I was going to put this in the last video that I just made about the zombie attacks, but I didn't want to put them both together because they really don't go together. But I want to talk about Jerry Sandusky. How many of you are keeping up with Jerry Sandusky? I never really kept up with it per se, as far as watching it. When it first happened, it made big news, and then it just got so, every time you turned the TV on, that's all you was hearing, and I would have to flip the channels, even on the news channels. But I've been watching the trial pretty much, them talk about the trial, and this supposedly, he's been sexually abusing these boys for many, many years, 20 years, 25 years, maybe more than that. And some of their testimonies that they talk about is very interesting, and they all basically say the same thing. They talk about, see, this started 20-some years ago when this one boy, and he took the stand, had gone home and told his mother that he had been in the shower with Jerry Sandusky, and that he called himself the tickle monster and tickled him. And this boy's mother called the police and tried to report it, but they wouldn't do anything. They didn't do anything about it. And it wasn't until years later when this came out that they said, well, wait a minute, we've got a case from back in the 80s that somebody had reported. So it does stem all the way back from there. And it even came out yesterday that one of his children, I think him and his wife had 6 adopted children. And one of those sons said that he was abused by Jerry Sandusky in their home. He was abused sexually by the man that adopted him, and that was supposed to be his father, the most trusted figure in his life, abused him, which brings the reason that may be the reason why he was adopted. And maybe the other children were abused too, but they're just not coming forward. Jerry Sandusky's wife claims that she never knew anything about it, while and maybe she didn't. But this one boy says that he used to stay over there at their house, and that Jerry Sandusky, you could basically say Jerry Sandusky raped him in the basement, and he said he was screaming for help because he knew she was right upstairs, and she never came to help. And so he feels like she knew what was going on because she was upstairs, and he said he was screaming, and she never came for help. And if he kept screaming, and Jerry Sandusky didn't try to stop him from screaming, then apparently Jerry Sandusky knew his wife wasn't going to do anything in the first place. Sandusky did not take the stand in his own defense, which leads a lot of people to wonder why. Why did he not get up there and defend himself? His own attorney got out of the car the other day before going into the courthouse, and somebody had said something other about the trial and the life being like a soap opera. And he hollered back at him, and he said, yeah, it could be all my children. And the news media was talking about how inappropriate for his own attorney to call that trial all my children. It is a media circus. But so the jury is in deliberations. There were several of the boys that testified that this one in particular said that when he was in the shower that Jerry Sandusky came up behind him and put his hands on him, and he said he'll never forget that Jerry Sandusky had a hairy chest and had it up against his back. And he said to this day he thinks about that, and this has affected him emotionally and sexually. Sex is very hard for him because he thinks about that. So, people kill themselves over stuff like this. So, and the one thing that most all the boys had in common when they talked about Jerry Sandusky is that they said he always called himself the tickle monster, and he would tickle them. One of them even said he blew on his stomach. You know how you blow on a baby's belly? He said that's what Jerry Sandusky did to him. If this went on for years, somebody had to know about this. The one guy that started on, I can't remember his name, He's the one who turned in what he saw. He said he saw Jerry Sandusky in the shower with a boy, and that he had the boy up against the wall raping him. So, but you know what? And I've always said this. I said if he actually walked in there, heard that boy scream, and walked in there and saw Jerry Sandusky raping that boy, why did he walk back out? You know, naturally you're going to go out and you're going to tell somebody. I think I would have stopped the rape. I would have had to come to the boy's defense. I would have had to either knocked him off of him or let it know that I see you. You know, just something to try to help this boy. But he did nothing except go to report it. So, go figure. So anyway, what's your feelings about the Jerry Sandusky case? Do you he's up on, I think they dropped 3 of the charges yesterday, but I think he's still looking at 48 different charges, about 10 different people, if I'm not mistaken. And the jury is in deliberations, so they've got 48 charges to look at. And today's Friday, they'll probably still be in deliberations up until next week sometime, so we'll wait and see. I say he's going to be found guilty. I say he will. So I just hope they don't go easy on him and put him under house arrest. I mean, please. Anyway, so tell me what your views are about Jerry Sandusky, and until next time, bye-bye.